Computer. All right. Welcome to the living room where we're learning how to live healthy, even though we're living in a toxic world. 2921 Duff Road, Lakeland, Florida, every Thursday night at 6:30. Tonight is Choose It to Lose It. We're choosing the things that cause, let's say, us to not have the optimal health in our habits, behaviors, and lifestyles. And we're switching them out to things that do elevate our health. And tonight is Tony Robertson coming from Phoenix, Arizona. He is a certified nutritionist. He is a dad. He's a father, and he's been working in the field of nutrition for 20 plus years. He and his wife double up, pair up to help hundreds and thousands of people all over the world. And it is a double delight to have Tony with us tonight. So go ahead, Tony.
Yes.
All right, I've lost my volume, so hang on a second.
Can John have some cookies?
All right. Can you hear me there, Lavon?
Yes, we can hear you. And if I need to.
Right, and I can hear you, so that's a bonus.
All right, let me turn you up on the volume here. Hold on a second.
All right, how are we sounding over there?
Good.
Loud and clear?
Yes, loud and clear. And I've got some more coming on. There comes Jennifer.
All right, so while you're letting other people on, before I get onto the topic of fruit, good, bad, or indifferent, you were talking about some alternative sugars and different cookies and flours and what have you. And it just got me thinking, we bought 2 bags of flour the other day. One was chicken flour and one was beef flour.
No way. Are you sure it wasn't grub worm flour?
Oh, no, obviously you aren't going to use the beef flour to make chocolate chip cookies, but the reason we bought them, so you can use those for I don't know what you guys call it. We call it when you make a crumbed chicken. What do you guys call it? Southern fried chicken, or what's a chicken fried steak?
Okay, fried chicken, southern fried chicken.
Yeah, it's got the crumbs on the breadcrumbs on it.
Yes.
So yeah, instead of using the breadcrumbs, we can use those, either the chicken flour, beef flour, in its place.
All right, where'd you buy it?
Amazon.
Oh, Amazon.
Yeah, we don't get out the house much.
That's because Amazon comes to your door. Yay.
Yeah, plus it's 147,000 degrees
I want to know
outside.
how does a cookie taste that's made with chicken flour?
I have no idea, and I do not intend to find out.
Fried chicken cookies.
You can make chicken nuggets. That's what you can do with that stuff.
I love that idea. So that sounds great.
Yeah, and if I remember when I'm finished here, I'll get a picture of it and send it to you.
Perfect.
Or I can maybe just pull up my Amazon account and show you the picture. But anyways, enough about the chicken and the beef. We're talking about fruit. And a lot has been said about fruit. And do we eat fruit? How much do we eat? How healthy is it? Which fruits are better? Is one better than the other? Are grapes better than apples? Etc., etc., etc. Now, I want you to understand something. Today I'm not talking about the pesticides that's on the fruit. I'm not going to be talking about washing your fruit, all that stuff. That goes without saying, okay? You wash everything. All right. I don't care how organic it is or how GMO free it is, all that kind of stuff. You got to wash your fruits and veggies. That's just the bottom line. But I want to talk about fructose, the sugar that is in fruit. Is that good, bad, or indifferent? Does fructose have any advantages? Do we need it? What does our body do with it? That kind of thing. Right. I've put together a very unprofessional presentation, if you will. All right. I didn't have time to fine tune this thing. I'm one of those guys. Just put it out there. Somebody else can make it look pretty, but I'll just put the points out there and we can go through them. It was copy and paste from research articles, so Forgive the sloppiness of it, but that's just the way it is. Levon, do I have screen share ability here?
You
Yes,
should,
it looks
yes.
like I do. All right, let me find my particular Word document. All right, let's see what's going on here. Let's hide a few things that we don't need because things are in the way here. All right. Can you see my beautiful presentation?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. So let's just go through these points here a little bit, one by one. Like I said, fruit, good, bad, or indifferent. Now, the first thing to understand, fruit is not bad if it is a seasonal fruit and it's local. And our world has become so small these days. I mean, you can get stuff on Amazon, for example. I've ordered things 8 o'clock at night. I wake up the next morning at 6 o'clock and the thing's outside my door. All right. That's how small the world has become in terms of delivery and getting products from point A to point B. So, and I've said this for a long time, you know, we get watermelon year round here in Arizona, and watermelon is not a year round fruit wherever its origins are. The same with bananas. Yeah, bananas grow in the tropics. Well, Arizona is not part of the tropics. We're part of the desert landscape. Nothing grows out here except cactus and cactus fruit, prickly pears. Okay, so essentially, that's what you need to eat. So the local folks from centuries ago, the local Native Americans, yeah, they ate the cactus fruit when it was on the cactus plant, which is more or less this time of the year. Other than that, they didn't eat much fruit. You know, they found a few berries here and there, wild berries, that sort of thing. But the problem is we are eating fruit that is not in season and it's not local. We're getting fruit from around. So that's part of the challenge. All right, point number one. And you've all heard me say this. Who's heard that saying, an apple a day keeps the doctor away? Anybody? All right. What's the key word in that sentence?
One.
An apple a day, or an orange a day, or an banana a day, whatever the case may be. So the problem isn't just that a fruit is out of season and it's not local. The problem is we're also eating too much fruit. And that can be a problem. Yes, it can. I know it can. So the idea is to limit yourself to one serving of fruit per day, especially like it says that if you're trying to lose weight, or if you're a diabetic and you're trying to control your diabetes to a certain degree, get just one fruit serving per day. That's all you need to satisfy that sweet craving that you have. Okay? If you have more cravings, then you need to address your other food sources. Why do I want sweet the whole time? It's because your brain is still triggered to get that sweet taste. So if a person is trying to lose weight, for example, or cut down on their diabetic medications, then you shouldn't want to eat more than one serving of fruit or drink one diet drink of some sorts, even if it's just sweetened with stevia or erythritol, the good sugars, the swerve, the whole earth that Levon was talking about. And the reason I'm saying that is because you are still satisfying that trigger in your brain that is looking for sweet. So the more you keep feeding it, the more it's going to want it. So ideally, what you want to do in a case like that is don't eat anything sweet. And yes, that can be a challenge. I get it. All right. But depending on your situation, your health condition, whatever, sometimes drastic steps are needed to get the ball rolling in the right direction. Okay. So try and limit your sweetness intake to a bare minimum of one serving of fruit per day. Now, the beauty of fruit versus today's high fructose corn syrup. High fructose corn syrup has no fiber in it. Fruit does have fiber in it. So that's a plus. Now, the reason that's a plus is because there's two types of fiber. There's soluble and insoluble. And what happens is the soluble fiber when it's mixed with some of the stomach and the gastric juices, what have you, it becomes real sticky, like a gel. And then the insoluble fiber doesn't. It stays it's intact, if you will, and it forms like a net structure, like a fishing net. And then the soluble fiber, being like a gel, that kind of sticks onto that net. And now you got this net that doesn't have holes in it. And that is going to hold on to some of those sugars. And then that'll pass out of your system. So you eliminating a lot of that fructose purely because of the fiber that is in that fruit. Okay. So yes, fruit does have some advantages. The fact that it's got built-in fiber that can get some of that fructose out of you. So that's a good thing. Now, I'm not a big proponent of force feeding yourself extra fiber. There's no need for that. If you eat the right foods, you're doing just fine. Nothing to panic about. All right. If you got constipation, do not consume extra fiber. You're not helping. Okay. But having a fruit portion a day should be just fine. The next point there, you can get all the nutrients in fruit from vegetables, which have a lot lower fructose content. So you can get the bulk of your nutrients out of your vegetables, and they don't have that much fructose. So that's a good thing. So try and get your nutrients from other sources except just fruit. Yes, I know strawberries have got vitamin C in them. Oranges have got vitamin C in them. All right. But so does beef liver. So you get 1 or 2 ounces of beef liver a week, and you've got your vitamin C, but you don't have any sugars that came with it. So there's that advantage. But so I've got nothing against fruit, and I do believe there is still some goodness to it. So don't panic. I'm not telling you to never eat fruit again. That's not what today is about. Especially down there where you folks live down there in Florida. There's fruit around every corner. I get it. But there you go. But it's all local. Well, I'm not saying it's all local. Hopefully, most of what you're eating is local stuff. Okay? So that's the advantage of that. So 1 piece of local and seasonal fruit per day should be more what your goal is. The next point there, the natural source of sugar is fruit. And we are meant at a primitive level, essentially. If you want to go back to the caveman days or go back to 6 million years ago, 6,000 years ago, that's up to you. You decide how long we've been around. I'm not going to preach on that. But way back in the day, however way back that might be for you, we would eat fruit. We would go hunt fruit. Typically, it's at the end of the fruit season when and the fruit is now very ripe, and it's got a lot more fructose in it, a lot more sugar in the fruit. And why do we do that? Think of the bears, the big old black bear, the grizzly bears. All right, they are omnivores. They eat meat. They'll eat you if you get in the way. They eat fish. They eat all sorts of meat. But how do they survive their hibernation period through the winter? By the end of this fruit season, as summer's drawing to an end, they gorge themselves on fruit. That's why you see old Winnie the Pooh's always got his paw in the honey pot. All right? They eat a lot of fruits and berries because that way, and this is natural, this is the way it's supposed to be, excess fructose intake leads to fat storage. So that bear puts on all this fat storage weight, and then he goes and takes a serious 3-month nap, and he survives. And he comes out of there skinny because he's used up all that fat that he stored before he went into hibernation. All right? It would be awesome if we could just spend 3 months sleeping right through winter, not having to wake up and eat or nothing, and your body just takes care of itself because you put that storage in place. And that's what happens with too much fructose. It builds fat. So keep that in mind. But the problem is, we're now eating 3 times a day, every day of the year. We're gorging on fruit and a soda here and there. I know nobody on this call today drinks any sort of soda out of a can, Coke, Fanta, whatever it may be. I know you people are all well-behaved individuals. So we don't have to worry about that. But Humans, we do tend to slip, and once in a while, somebody's going to have a Coke. It is what it is. But that is worse than having too much fruit, because that's high fructose corn syrup. There's zero fiber in there. All of that fructose is going to cause damage. So we've got to be really, really careful. And then most modern fruit has been designed for a higher sugar content and a low fiber content. So we've got thinner skins, we've got more juiciness to it because they've changed the DNA of that thing. And again, it's all about marketing, shelf life, profit, all of that sort of stuff. When last did you find fruit in your grocery store that looked bad? It's been a while. All right. You can even buy good looking fruit at the store, take it home, and it'll sit there on the countertop in the fruit basket for weeks, still looking good. But it never used to be like that. So our fruit has been modified by humans. You know, we sometimes think we're better than our creator and we want to create better food than he did for us. Well, maybe we create a better looking food, but not necessarily better for us. And that's the problem. So, all right. And I'm going to talk about glucose here just for a second, because a lot of foods that you buy today have high fructose corn syrup in them. And high fructose corn syrup is a combination of fructose and glucose, but it's got a higher percentage of fructose. That's why it's called high fructose corn syrup. Okay. It's got a 60% fructose, 40% glucose ratio. So you're getting more fructose than you are glucose. Glucose is actually better for you than what fructose is, believe it or not. Scary. All right. So while it is true that glucose is essential for sustaining life, there's no requirement for dietary glucose. What is dietary glucose? That's glucose that you get out of your diet, your food, the stuff you put in your mouth. There is no requirement for you to ever eat sugar. None whatsoever. None. Table sugar, honey, syrup, agave syrup, maple syrup, all that stuff. None of that stuff you have to stay alive. So keep that in mind. Your body will, if it needs glucose, it will make it. It's a process called gluconeogenesis. Your body will convert some of your protein into glucose to feed that part of your brain that needs that bit of glucose. The rest of your body can run without it. So don't panic. All right. Where are we here? I'm going to read you this. The administration of fructose or sucrose, which is table sugar, in humans has been shown to cause each of the abnormalities that define the metabolic syndrome, which is high triglycerides, LDL problems, cholesterol problems, insulin resistance, glucose intolerance, elevated blood glucose numbers, elevated blood pressure, and weight gain. That is from fructose or sucrose. And like I said, sucrose is table sugar, which is glucose and fructose. So again, fructose is the culprit here. That causes all those things. And this is why Yvette and I have been saying for a long time now, don't blame salt for what the sugar did. If you got high blood pressure, it's not because of the salt, right? It's not because you eat red meat. It's because you're eating too much fruit and too many breakfast cereals, too many donuts. And how many donuts is too many? One is too many. All right. So, and I'll admit, if there's a Krispy Kreme on my way to the health food store, I'm going to swing by a Krispy Kreme on the way to the health food store. It is what it is. All right. It is what it is. That's why I don't go to the health food store. There's just too many distractions on the way there. So we just got to be careful. Anyway, I'm going to get myself into trouble here. Some of the concerns: excess fructose consumption leads to all sorts of problems: diabetes, obesity, cardiometabolic problems, things like hypercholesterolemia. In other words, high cholesterol. The next one is high triglycerides. And the last one there, hyperuricemia, uric acid, too much uric acid. So if I were to get, but just by a show of hands, who knows what the link is with uric acid and a problem that a lot of people tend to have? Lavon will know. Shout it out.
Kidney stones.
What else? Go further down the extremities. All the way down to the big toe.
Gout.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Kidney stones and gout. Yep.
All right. So hyperuricemia is too much uric acid.
Mhm.
And that is being blamed for gout. Now, here's something interesting. Uric acid, in a good way, it's good and bad, okay? The good thing about uric acid, it's an antioxidant. So do we need it? Absolutely. And where do we get uric acid from? Well, from a product called purines. And purines are in foods. There's no getting away from purines. You eat them, whether you on a carnivore diet or a vegan diet, and anything in between. It's in our food. It's in meat. It's in red wine. It's in beans. All right, so we are eating purines. And what happens is those purines go through your liver. Your liver does a number on it, and it changes it, and it spits out uric acid to help you, to benefit you. It's an antioxidant. But a few things can go wrong. If your liver doesn't do that function properly, then you're going to have excess uric acid in your system. And the way you get rid of uric acid is it mixes with ammonia down in the kidney area, and then you just pee it out. So it's happening all day long in every person. If you go eat a steak, you're getting purines, it's making uric acid. Don't worry, you pee it out tomorrow morning, no gout, no problem. The same with a vegan diet. You eat it, the purines come in, it makes uric acid, mixes with ammonia in your kidney area, you pee it right out. But when does uric acid become a problem? When you're on a high carbohydrate diet. When you have elevated insulin levels and uric acid in your system, that insulin level affects the function of your kidneys to a certain degree, and you do not excrete the uric acid properly. Then you get that buildup of uric acid that kills your toe. You can eventually get arthritis if it's not taken care of. So I say all that just to cover a little broad spectrum there of gout, because gout isn't purely uric acid. It's a combination of uric acid and high carbohydrate, high insulin style lifestyle, okay? So be careful, because here we see excess fructose leads to excess uric acid. So again, eating too much of what's considered a good thing, fruit, can cause gout. Now, I've got a very good friend that would eat nothing but fruit until midday, every day of his life. But he also had gout every day of his life. Yeah, his big toe. It hurt like a son of a gun. All right. So, but we got that problem solved. We got that problem solved. All right, what else we got? On a cellular level, the majority of cells are incapable of metabolizing fructose directly. Metabolizing means using it, breaking it down into its various components to be used. Cells are incapable of metabolizing fructose directly. Your cells can do nothing with fructose. They have no way of handling fructose. Instead, all the reactions involved in fructose metabolism occur in the cells and in the liver, the muscles, your fat tissue, the gut, and in sperm. Those are the areas that break down fructose. But the major one is the liver. And that's why today we have so many problems with younger people. I'm talking 10, 11 years old, that have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, which is typically, fatty liver disease typically comes from excess alcohol consumption. Now, you don't have to be an alcoholic to get fatty liver disease, just excess alcohol consumption. Just too much alcohol too frequently. Okay? And the reason that is because the fructose and the alcohol follow the exact same pathway through your liver to be metabolized, and they cause the same problems. So when your liver breaks down fructose, it stores it as fatty droplets in your liver. And that's how you get non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Crazy. And again, it's not just the high fructose corn syrup that is in everything. It's too much fruit. Because your body has zero requirement for fructose. If you never eat fruit again in your life, your body's not going to miss it. It's not like you've taken something away that it's supposed to have. It doesn't need fructose. Okay. So, and I think fruit has got fructose in it to sweeten it so that we will eat it to get some of the nutrients out of it. But the sugar part of it, the fructose, will just get metabolized and stored and moved out of your system. But at least you're getting some of the nutrients out of the berries and the peaches and the apricots, that sort of thing. All right. And this next thing here is pretty much the same thing. Like the bears, they go eat the ripened fruit to get high levels of fructose, and it's stored as fat so that they can go sleep for 3 months. All right. And then lastly, I'm going to show you a picture here. And then I want to just open it up to discussion, because I know people are going to be annoyed and I'm saying eat just 1 apple a day. All right. And I want to try and help folks understand some of this stuff, because it is important. We're all trying to work a bit better with our diets and make a difference somehow. And I think if we can just educate folks on this a little bit. So look at this. Here's different fruits. On the left is the percentage of fructose in the fruit. And across the bottom is the percentage of fiber in that fruit.
Wow.
So drop this thing down here. Hide floating meeting controls. All right. So if you take a look at this, you can see which fruits have grapes, for example, high in fructose, but very low in fiber. So you're not going to get much of the sugar out of that grape. And you come across all the way to the other side. Look at lemons. They're fairly high in fiber, very low in fructose. So those are the sort of things. Raspberries, look at that. High on the fiber count, low on the sugar count. Berries, gooseberries, cranberries, all of those. You can see. So, and that's what I've been recommending to folks now for the last 7 years or so. Rather eat a handful of berries instead of eating an apple. See, the apple is high in sugar and it's on the lowish side in terms of fiber. So you're going to get more nutrients out of a handful of raspberries and blueberries and blackberries and those sort of things than out of an apple. And you're going to get way less sugar. 3 times less sugar. Look at this. Raspberries are right around at 2, apples up at 7. So you're getting 2/3 less sugar and a whole lot more fiber and nutrients in these fruits. So something to think about for sure. Now, like I said, way in the beginning, I'm not against fruit. Not at all. I tell people, eat your fruit. I would rather you eat fruit before you eat grains. That's for sure. Because grains are killing us left, right, and center. All right. If I had to tell people, let me put it this way. I saw a guy ask a doctor the one day, if you had to devise a plan to slowly kill the people, what would that plan be? I'm talking about a food plan. He says, well, I would put them on a low-fat diet, not much in terms of meat, lots of fruit and lots of grains, whole grains. All right? Let them eat that for 20 or 30 years and they'll kill themselves. So that's how you wipe out a population. You kill them with the food. Who's heard me say that the poison is in the dose? You've all heard that. You've heard me say that before, not so? So, kill somebody today if you make them eat whole grains for the next 2 years. But if they continue to do it over 40 years, yes, that's when you develop diabetes, high blood pressure. Why do you think a lot of people now around the age of 40, 45 start becoming diabetics, or now suddenly they got hypertension or they have heart trouble? How many people die, young guys, 40 years old, 45, heart attacks? It's because they've been following a low-fat, high-carb diet for the last 40 years. And that's what killed them. Had they stuck to the food that God made for us, meat, eggs, fruit, some above ground vegetables, no grains, they would live a very long time. I take my grandmother, is 97 years old. And I said to her the other day, Sylvia, how you doing? She says, oh, Tony, from the neck up, I'm fantastic. Well, from the neck down, it's a different story. So she's still with it. Her brain is still functioning properly. All right, 97 years old. So go back 100 years. What were people eating 100 years ago? It's a whole lot different to what we're eating today. So she had a good start. Trying to figure out now, how do I cancel this thing? Lavon, where's my meeting controls?
Just hover up or hover down. Hunker down.
I've been hovering everywhere here. Let me bring this back up to full speed.
And it'll say stop. Somewhere there, stop screen share.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I've done this so many times, but today it's not working. That's fine. I'll make it work somehow. So while I'm fighting with this, those with questions, fire away quickly. Because there's a lot we can still cover. And I like it. I watched a video just earlier this afternoon where this doctor was interviewing another guy, professor, what have you. He says, do you mind if I take some questions from the audience? He says, there's nothing that a professor likes more than questions from the people. All right. Now, I'm not a professor, but I like to answer questions because that's when the real challenges come out, is when people ask things that are pertinent to them. So.
Okay, we did it.
There we go. I just shut down everything, which is fine.
Well, we popped back. How about that?
All right. So fruit is good for you. It's got lots of nutrients, but you got to pick the right fruit. And that's where we all fail. Because what's easier to do? If you're running out the door, which is easier to grab? A handful of berries or an apple? An apple. Or a peach or a banana. Okay, because the banana comes pre-packaged. It's got that nice yellow packaging on it.
Yeah.
So
How do you feel about whole grain at all? I mean, are you totally off grain? I mean, God did make wheat and oat and
he did,
barley.
but yeah. But then General Mills came along and Monsanto came along and they modified that. So I'm 100% against today's grains. But
Not even in breads. No breads, no high fiber breads, nothing like that.
No. If you can find, what do they call it? Original grains. There's a brand called
Iron corn.
Einkorn, yeah.
Iron?
EINKORN.
Yeah.
What is it?
EINKORN.
ORN.
That's an original grain. So it's not going to have all the gluten challenges that come with today's grains. But in general, if a person's on the healthy spectrum, if they don't have diabetes, if they don't have blood pressure problems, if they're not overweight and trying to lose weight, if they're not insulin resistant, all those kind of things, a serving of grains 2 or 3 times a week, I'm fine. That's not the end of the world. But if you have any of those challenges, then you don't want to be doing grains at all, because those grains become glucose at the end of the day, and that is what's destroying us. So at the moment, yes, I'm anti-grains, okay? Because it's easier for me to just stay off the grains than to go hunt and find the right one, make my own flour, try and bake my own bread, and it's like, you know what? I got better things to do. So,
And donuts waiting for you.
what's that?
Say that donut's on the way, waiting for you on the way.
That's the problem. If I go buy those grains, I'm just going via the Krispy Kreme, which is 25 miles away. But yeah, so that is part of the challenge. No, but I'm not in favor of grains because they cause too many problems these days. Okay, but like I say, if you can find a good old-fashioned grain, yes, go ahead and use that. But you got to soak them as well. You know, release that phytic acid that's built into it to protect it. So there is a way you can do grains. For me, it's just too tedious. I'm not going to bother. That's all. But for everybody else, if you want to do it, get the right stuff, do the right thing with it, and keep it to a minimum. Okay, you don't want to be doing a bunch of grains every day. That's not ideal either. So, yeah. All right.
I think Jovial is a brand that has really perfected the iron corn flour. So once in a while, if I want to make biscuits or make a pie crust or something, I will use the Jovial brand of iron corn because they have perfected it. It bakes up beautifully. It kneads in beautifully. It'll bake bread. It's wonderful. Also, tip sprouted, anything that's sprouted, sourdough or sprouted, spelt or iron corn. If you do indulge in it, those are always better because it does, like Tony said, they're soaking the grain so you get all that phytic acid out of it. And Tony's very, very right, because God made it good and man came along and decided to play God and make it better. Instead, they made it worse than ever. So a slice of bread actually releases more glucose than a Snicker bar. And that is because the chromosome has been changed on that grain to such a degree that it changes the glucose and the gluten and the chromosome, and it's got glyphosate. And oh my God, you got a sandwich of toxic composure going on there.
Yeah, and that is the problem. That's to a certain degree, I can understand they want to make sure there's enough food to feed the world. Okay, yes, fine, I get it. But they've gone about it the wrong way as far as I'm concerned, because there's too much food. There's so many places. Who was it that lived up in the Chicago area? The mailman, his wife passed away a few months ago. Lavon.
Gary.
He said there where he lived, there were farms there. They had mountains of corn that were going to get burnt because there was just too much. They were throwing it away, getting rid of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's because other countries that contracted for it refused it because it was too toxic for their people to consume.
There is enough food on the planet to feed the people on the planet if we do it right.
Yeah.
Right. There is. And this talk can go down a whole different rabbit hole if we get stuck in it. So I don't want to get stuck on this because
and Tony, do you remember the guy that when we did our health retreat here at the Salvation Army, and he was a proponent of only eating fruit, and he was so fruity. And remember I made the biggest container of chicken salad, and he piled his plate, I mean like a mountain of my chicken salad, and preached the entire weekend of the importance of eating only fruit.
Yeah, I know. I was reading some stuff this afternoon, or earlier this morning at least, getting a few biblical references about food and stuff. I got to find it here because it's quite funny. But I won't do it right now because distracted. But anyways, there's so many references in the Bible as to what to eat, what not to eat, etc., etc., etc. And we can take it out of context. All right. Everybody you can twist all Bible verses, 7 ways from Sunday. I use them just as, what's the word I'm looking for? As a fun reference, just to say, you know what? And I'm not being serious about it, but Hey, it says in the Bible, the prodigal son, what did the dad tell his servants to do? Go kill the fattened calf. All right. Not the skinny one, the fattened one. So, all right. When people say
Yes,
you
yes.
eat meat, oh, absolutely. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
And so, anyways, back to the fruit and the fructose and the sugar. So, for people that are diabetic, high blood pressure, all those metabolic syndrome, all those categories that fall into that, we have to keep our fructose intake down to a minimum of 1 fruit per day, 1 handful of berries per day. No sodas. None of the Coke, Pepsi, all of those. Now, even the diet sodas are bad because the sweetener that they're using there is just toxic. Plus, it's still feeding that trigger in your brain that's the sweetness. So you're still going to be craving sweet stuff. So we want to just try and get away from that stuff. Okay. And in fact, I'm going to venture to say a regular Coke is probably better for you than a Diet Coke. Now, I'm not saying go drink the Coke, but if you were forced to choose, if I was forced to choose, I'd probably drink the regular Coke.
Why is that?
Because of that other artificial sugar nonsense that's in there. That will kill me before the sugar in the Coke kills me. Okay.
It's
that sugar
faster. You said that the toxic component is in the dose. So it's actually an accelerated dose of toxins.
Yeah. And the sugar that comes in the Coke, if you have a Coke once a week, a can of Coke once a week, fine. You're not going to die because of that. You're not going to pick up weight because of it. You're not going to become a diabetic because of that. All right. Your body uses it. It'll figure it out if you're on the healthy side. But if you're a diabetic, no Coke. If you're trying to lose weight, Coke. Healthy as Johnny over there, 1 Coke a week, not the end of the world. All right, the diet one, because that stuff is going to kill your brain, not your body. So stay away from those things. But in general, we shouldn't be drinking Coke. I see in India, I saw a little video clip. The Indians, the farmers over in India, they are not buying pesticides anymore to spray on their crops because it's too expensive. They are buying Coca-Cola and Pepsi, and they are spraying that on their crops as a pesticide.
Wow.
Because it's way cheaper and it does the same thing.
It's called stinging nettle. It's one of the original pesticides, and they use it in Europe. And they want to take it away from us, and they don't let us use it. But it's really something you can eat, and it's also an excellent pesticide.
Yeah. Yep. No, there's so many things in the plant kingdom that we can eat that aren't going to hurt us, but there's others that are going to hurt us. And I think, I'll speak under correction here, but I think if you look at some of the original pesticides and things, a lot of those are from plant extracts because there's stuff built into that plant for it to survive an insect invasion.
Right.
So they just extract out of the plant, they multiply it, and then spray it on the crops and all that kind of stuff. So we've got to be really careful. We have to do our homework these days, unfortunately, as to what's good for us and what's not good for us. It's sad we've got to this point, but this is where we are. So,
Right.
yeah.
So we
Great.
have a question in the chat box about neuropathy, and the question was what causes it and what do we do without it? And I also want to hear the fruit extracts on the nutrition side that Neolife has discovered and been able to put in a complex with the nutrient value that we can utilize, such as the flavonoids and the carotenoids and the different ones and the vitamin C, why it's important that those nutrients come from a living human food chain food and not synthetic, and the benefits, getting all the benefits without the glucose, without
Yep.
the fructose, or without the carbs.
And you pretty much summarized the answer in your question. We're not getting So Neolife isn't taking the fructose, the sugars out of the apricots, peaches, the red bell peppers, tomatoes, all those sort of things. They're taking the red part, the healthy part, the nutrient part, the antioxidant part, because you can break a fruit down into its various components, fiber, sugars, the nutrient side of it, the oils side of it, and they can extract all those things at different stages. So Neolife has taken all the nutrient value of the strawberry. Okay. And because fructose isn't a nutrient, that's not being used to put into our supplements. Now they'll use some of the fructose, a small portion of that, to sweeten the shakes. Nobody wants to drink an unsweetened soybean shake.
Bland and blah.
Yeah, it's going to taste like cardboard.
Yes.
Anyways, all right. So when it comes to the nutrients, yes, they've extracted all those nutrients, but they've only taken it out of human food, not stuff that's not part of our food chain. Pine bark, this sort of thing. None of us eat pine bark. All right, simple. Well, hopefully none of us. All right, I guess there's a few weird ones out there, but everybody on the show today, on the screen today, none of us eat pine bark. But from good old-fashioned fruits and vegetables, that's where we get our nutrients. And again, all our nutrients are tested for toxins. So they test them all for 200 families of toxins. And there's nothing in there, they use it. If there's something in there, they don't use it. The fiber portion that we got, that comes from, again, the fiber part of the different fruits and vegetables that they're using. And like I said earlier, they can separate all those things. There's mechanical processes in technology that's been around for decades, is how they separate things. For example, food is a commodity. When you're doing like on the stock exchange, food is a commodity, but food can go bad. So what do? They take the fiber out of food, and then they can freeze the food. And when you thaw it out, that food isn't all soggy. Has anybody ever had their lettuce in the fridge, pushed all the way to the back where your little cooling coils are, and you take your lettuce out the next day, and that part of that lettuce leaf was frozen because it's right up against the refrigerant? Okay. If you let that piece of lettuce leaf thaw out, what happens to it?
It wilts
What?
because you've destroyed the cells.
Exactly. All right. The fiber that is in that leaf has moisture in it. And when it freezes, water expands when it freezes. So it breaks that fiber structure. And now when it thaws out, the ice melts and the fiber has no more structure and it just collapses. Okay. And I say all that to come back to food as a commodity. So they take the fiber out of our food because they can freeze it, ship it all around the world, thaw it out, and it'll still look good. And you're not losing money on the stock exchange. Okay.
How much pectin is in vegetables? Because pectin is a very important feature of fruit for our bodies and our skin.
I don't know. I can't sit there and do the breakdown on the fruits and the vegetables. So that's, kind of research that you're going to have to go do, or somebody put a team together and say, right, I'm going to go research carrots. You can do peaches, you do bananas, and let's come together. There's just so many things to look for. I haven't gone down that road to see what all, but I know there are anti-nutrients in a lot of vegetables as well that prevent us absorbing certain minerals. So we have to be careful of those. And there are ways around that. Cook them, heat them up, that sort of thing. That'll destroy some of those anti-nutrients.
Yeah.
So we've got to be careful when we give people advice saying eat a raw vegetable diet.
Yeah.
There's a lot of anti-nutrients in raw vegetables that's not helping you. Certain vegetables have to get cooked to kill off those anti-nutrients.
And carrots have to be cooked for you to absorb the nutrients.
What
When
does?
you eat raw carrots, you're not able to absorb all the nutrients that it provides for you.
And the thing as well, when cooking your food, you don't want to cook it to death either.
Right.
Right? You want to heat it up to destroy some of the anti-nutrients in there and release some of the chemicals that are bound in there. But you don't want to nuke that thing for 10 minutes.
Right.
Or boil that carrot overnight. Yeah, that's also destroying everything. So there's a fine balance. There's a fine balance. But I don't I don't tell people to do lots of raw fruits and raw vegetables on any particular diet plan, because there's just too many things that can go wrong. All right. Obviously, you're not going to cook your fruit, but when I say raw fruits and raw vegetables, yeah. And sometimes, and it just depends per person as well, you can sometimes get too much fiber from all those raw vegetables and even the cooked ones. You know, if people are having gut issues, you don't want to be giving them extra fiber because you're not helping them. If you've got gut issues, your gut is in trouble. The last thing it wants to do is work extra hard to take care of things. So quit throwing all the fiber down there if you're constipated. Quit throwing all the fiber down there if you've got diarrhea. Quit throwing all the fiber down there if you have IBS, IBD, any. Just don't throw fiber at it. That's not helping it. Okay. It's like I say to people, yeah, fiber adds bulk to the stool. So my question is, why do you want to push a stool this size through a hole this size? All right. There's no logic
That's
in that.
because they're not eating their vegetables.
What's because they're not eating vegetables?
That's why they take the extra fiber.
Well, but even so, fiber is good up to a point. Up to a point. After that, we're causing more trouble than good. So we have to be really careful when advising people, especially those with gut issues, on fiber consumption. We've got to be really careful. All right, because we might be doing more harm than good. So.
And I want to say, Tony, I think pectin is in our protein shake.
I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah. As part of the fiber component.
Yeah. Let me come back to Bobby's question about
Neuropathy.
Neuropathy.
Yes.
I'm no doctor. I can't give you all the different reasons for neuropathy, but one big one is sugar. Sugar is the cause of the problem. That's the source of the cause. Okay, so sugar, because now it's causing all these downstream effects, elevated insulin levels. Eventually, your insulin's not working anymore. So now you've got sugar in your bloodstream that the insulin couldn't take care of. So you've got all this sugar floating around, and it's got to go somewhere. And the kidneys start backing up. The liver doesn't function properly. You're getting malabsorption of essential nutrients, vitamin B being one of them. B works on the nerve fibers. And then you're also getting sugar getting blocked in those tiny little blood vessels, tiny little ones down at the end of your extremities. You got these tiny hair-like little tubes where your blood flows through. And if that gets blocked up, you're not getting oxygen flow. You're going to start losing sensitivity. Nerves are going to be destroyed. Things are going to die because there's no oxygen coming in there, no nutrients coming in there. And slowly but surely, you lose a little bit of feeling in your small toe, then the one next to it, and then halfway up your foot. And before you know it, they've chopped your leg off below the knee because you refuse to stop eating sugar. That's the short and sweet of it.
Yeah.
All right. So it takes a while, though. It takes a while. But here's the good news. Some of you know Dick and Vanessa Jackson. Well, Dick called, this was a few years back. He called, said, Tony, my uncle's got problems. He's diabetic. They want to amputate his leg from below the knee. His foot is just toast. It looks like gangrene, and it's just, he sent me a picture of it. And I'm not going to put it on the screen because some people, the last time I did that, I got nasty responses for some people. So, I said, listen, Dick, before they go chop his leg off, let's try something. What does he have to lose? Okay, besides his leg, what else does he have to lose if we try something? So I changed his diet. I said, get him off all the sugary foods, grains, eat vegetables above the ground only, put lots of protein and fat into your diet, quit drinking all the sweetened tea that they drink down there in the South. Just total change of diet. Got him onto a bunch of different supplements, lots of treonins, some of the protein, carotenoids. Looks like Levon's got the picture there, or is she taking a picture?
Taking a picture.
So anyways, he sent me a picture, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 months later. And the difference was incredible. They didn't amputate his leg. He lost 2 toes because they were just beyond saving. He's still got his foot. There's obviously a bit of skin damage, and this was still fairly recent after the healing, but there was still some healing that had to happen. The skin had to heal properly, all that kind of stuff. But my point is, they didn't have to chop off his leg because he changed
So
diet.
you think that only above ground, you don't like the below ground vegetables at all?
No, because they're just a ball of sugar for the plant that's above the ground.
So you could have a root versus a fruit.
No, I would do the fruit versus the root.
And why is that? Because the fiber in the root would be higher than the fruit.
I don't really care for the fiber, okay, but the fruit, like you saw the berries, they slightly higher on the fiber but less on the sugar. And I think there's less sugar in a handful of berries than there is in carrots and beets, especially like the sugar beets. That's where we get our table sugar from, is the sugar beets. All right. So I prefer a couple of berries versus below the ground vegetables. That's my preference. Now we can go do some research, in 100 grams of carrots, how much sugar is in there versus 100 grams of raspberries, how much sugar is in there. Okay. Fiber content might be the same, carrots versus the other one. I don't know. I haven't got those numbers with me right here, but we can find them. There is a website actually. Let me pull it up here. So you guys, I'll give it to you guys can see it. Gotta find it here real quick. I'll put the link on this in the chat. Because I got it just the other day. I got the updated one of it. Food Data Central. Here we go.
What is it called?
I'm going to post the link copy. I'm going to put it here in the chat. Where's my Zoom? In the chat post. So there you go. It's in the chat. Take a picture of that, write it down, whatever the case may be. That's the Food Data Central. You can go there and you can type in carrots and it'll give you a nutritional breakdown.
Put it back on.
Just open up the chat. Click on the little chat button down there. It'll pop up and stay up.
Oh, I just copied the link and pulled it up.
Okay. So there you can go do some research on what's in a particular food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See
I
it?
was looking at things like calcium. Yeah. So you go to sardines are pretty high in calcium.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
If you like him.
But you know what? It's like
I don't eat liver either. I just want to be upfront. I don't eat organ meat. I don't eat liver.
My wife's the same.
I don't eat skin.
My wife says, I don't need to eat the organ meat. I can afford to buy the steak.
That's right. That's right. I don't eat insects unless they're in my peanut butter.
Yeah. So, and there's other ways. I mean, you don't have to eat a lot of liver, 1 ounce a week.
No, we're not doing that.
Yeah. I was at a friend of mine over the weekend and I see he's putting things in his mouth. I said, Joe, what are you eating? He says, oh, it's beef liver. He cuts little pieces, little bite-sized pieces, and he freezes them. And then he wraps it in his little plastic and he freezes it and he takes out 3 little pieces and he just kind of swallows it like a tablet. Okay, whatever blows your hair back, my man. Yeah. No, we prefer to make a liver pate. That way I can, I'll eat the whole thing because it's got bacon in
it. Liver pate. Yay.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So, all right. Any other questions? I'd love to answer questions if you folks have them, if I can. Like I say, make sure they're easy questions.
Okay, John's got a question. Nutrition for a stroke.
Yes.
And by the way, have you all
Nutrition-
seen to pray for Dr. Sherry Tenpenny because she's had a stroke, and pray for Janie Henley. She also has had a stroke and had to go in for
no.
brain surgery because there was a blood clot in the brain.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
All right.
So pray for Sherry Tenpenny and pray for Janie
Thank-
Henley. Yes.
All right. Nutrition for a stroke. I would do a little bit of garlic. I'll keep the blood thin. You don't want to overdose on the garlic because you can kill off too many good things at the same time. So, maybe 2 garlic a day. Nothing excessive. I would do some of the salmon oil, the omega-3s. And I would throw in 1 or 2 vitamin E. But now, at the same time, folks, understand this. The person has to do this. We'll come back to neuropathy. Sorry, Bobby. If that person's on medication after the stroke, you got to be real careful because now you can kill them. If you thin their blood too much, we're going to have a problem on our hands. So I would add 1 garlic for about 10 days. And then I would add 1 salmon oil for about 10 days. Have them have their blood work checked again, make sure it's not too thin. The doctor can adjust the medication accordingly. She needs to tell the doctor, this is what I'm doing. And he must adjust the medication. And then you can add 1 vitamin E for 10 days or so. And then come back and add 1 more garlic. So you see what I'm getting at here? Slowly but surely, add 1 or 2 things every 10 days, 2 weeks, that kind of thing. Just slowly get them onto it in conjunction with them going to their doctor and having their blood work checked and adjusting the medication accordingly. When it comes to food, I would cut out all forms of grain. Just take them out of your diet. There's no need for them. Because they're all going to cause insulin problems, glucose problems, metabolic problems. I would make sure that they're getting enough fat in their diet. So here's 2 things that happen when you do those 2 steps. If you cut out the grains, you lower your triglycerides. You also increase your HDL levels. So you've got some good cholesterol going on. Now, with a stroke, typically it's a blood clot that goes through the brain, blocks off some blood flow and, and causes the problems. So you can ask yourself, where did that clot come from? Typically, there's an injury site somewhere in the arteries. And what happens is the body wants to go and heal it. So it sends some cholesterol molecules there. And they kind of hover around that damaged site. A little bit of calcium will come there and build like a shelter over it, if you will, to protect that area. But when that comes loose, that's when you got problems.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So a stroke isn't caused by bad diet, essentially. It's caused by a problem in the arteries that your body was trying to fix, and then that solution came loose. So if you have cholesterol floating around, cholesterol is a very good repair mechanism along with your protein. You got to have enough protein in your diet to fix things because protein rebuilds tissue. So if you've got the protein going, you've got good cholesterol going, your arteries and your veins are flexible, your blood flows easier through there. The cholesterol will fix up what it needs to. The protein is going to try and fix that damaged area. The salmon oil is going to help with the inflammation. That too much. So all of those things kind of work hand in hand. And then that chunk has come loose. It's no longer a problem because it's this large and it's done the damage, but hopefully it's kind of worked its way out now. But moving forward, we're going to make sure that it doesn't happen again. And inflammatory foods is a major problem. And inflammatory foods are seed oils, grapeseed oil, canola oil, peanut oil, soybean oil, sunflower oil, all of those things. You don't want to be eating those. And another major source of inflammation is excess glucose, too much sugar, too many refined carbohydrates. So we have to keep those down.
And Tony, there is so much evidence with the flavonoids for strokes. It is over the top. And we're the only company in the world that has the complete family, biologically complete family of all 4,000 flavonoids.
Yep.
In fact, somebody just sent me 2 or 3, about 6 studies that were recently done with flavonoids and vascular diseases, showing the tremendous results that they get because, again, your arteries are weakening and it comes in, it thins the blood naturally. In fact, the studies show it works better than Coumadin at thinning the blood, and it strengthens the elasticity of the blood vessels.
Yep.
So it's working on 2 different factors there. So
Exactly.
it's thinning the blood and strengthening those vascular sites. So it's a win-win. And, to know we've got the only complete flavonoid in the world, and it was tested clinically on humans to show amazing results, including slowing down cancer by 90%. It's a win-win. Everybody should be taking in this world our flavonoids.
Yeah, that's right. Now we got some amazing products, and there's a lot of stuff to cover, different topics of how our supplements can help. And it's just, we need a whole week worth of 8-hour sessions to try and cover just to touch the basics.
Yeah.
There was a question if you had finished the neuropathy discussion.
That's my next sentence. Yeah, I was going to say, all right, Bobby, back to you. Neuropathy. So the cause of that, for the most part, is sugar and insulin problems. Okay, so how do we fix that? Well, cut out the thing that's causing the problem. No refined grains, no syrup, no honey, no sugars of any sort. Cut the glucose out of your diet. And that's a major change, all right? But if you've got the neuropathy, the last thing you want is to eventually lose your leg. So you decide how desperately you want to fix the situation, okay? So cut out the glucose, cut out the forms of glucose. It's a major change, but it can be done. Vitamin B, I would put that in there for the nerve function.
Yeah.
All right. And people that are on a vegan diet are going to have to do something to get their B12. They have to start eating some meat. They can take our vitamin B, which has got the B12 in it. All right. Make sure there's enough iron in the diet, because the iron and the B work hand in hand in absorption. So you can add a bit of endurance. And again, you get lots of iron out of red meat. So put that in your diet. Treonine, get those oils in there. Get those cells working so they can start functioning again down in the foot area. Get some life back into them. Get some salmon oil into the diet for the inflammation part and for the healing.
Excuse me, are you saying salmon as in fish?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Because you got a funny accent. I just,
There's nothing wrong with my accent, all right? You guys are just hearing me funny. That's all. So, but yeah, and I've been asked to repeat myself so many times in the last 20 years, so I don't care anymore. So I'll repeat myself until the cows come home. Put some vitamin E in there for oxygen. Make sure the oxygen gets down to that point, down to the tips there. And the important thing to remember is, we're told about the treonine with those 3 oils that are in there that are so essential for the cell membrane. The salmon oil, the omega-3s are just as important for that cell membrane as what the threonine is. So don't forget the salmon oil. Salmon oil isn't just for inflammation. That's for a healthy cell membrane as well. And something else that works very well is butter. Now, we don't have it in tablet form. We have it in 1 pound block forms. You can buy that at any store. But you need to get some grease into that diet. You just absolutely have to. Because the cholesterol is in there, and the cholesterol has the healing properties. It's going to go down there. It's going to help restore some of the life back to that area of the foot.
Would that be vitamin A?
Yes. And there's also, what did you say about butyric acid in there?
Yeah.
In the butter? Yeah. Neuropathy. So, those are some suggestions for that. How much protein is too much? You'll find out. Try overeat protein. You can have a hard time doing it. So,
how big is your steak?
Yeah. So that came from Janet, was it? Yeah. Janet, how much protein is too much? If you're eating a crappy protein, yes, you can do too much. It's going to cause damage. But if you're drinking the Neolife shake, or you're eating protein in terms of meat, fish, eggs, I can't really see anybody eating too much protein. All right. It's going to be a challenge to eat too much. And remember something, folks, we have to eat food, okay? We have to start eating the right food, because we can't just throw supplements at a bad diet and expect the supplements to work wonders. We have to look at our food. Supplements, there's a reason they're called supplements, because they supplement your food. All right, they're not replacements, they're supplements. Okay, so don't be drinking 4 of our shakes a day. That's not the point. Yes, you're getting protein, but you're missing a lot of vital nutrients that's in meat, that is in eggs. So don't forget to eat your way healthy as well. And overeating protein, you put on a ribeye steak, 1.5 pound ribeye steak, and work your way through that. You'll get to a point where you're like, duh, I'm done. I'm done. Okay, now the next challenge I would say is do that for breakfast. You know, do that at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock. Okay, eat that 1.5 pound of ribeye steak, and then see when you get hungry again. It's not going to be at 1 o'clock. I can guarantee you that. It's going to be around 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, maybe even 7 o'clock at night, because you got so much food out of that 1.5 pound or 2 pound ribeye steak. You got a bunch of fat in there, you got a bunch of protein. It's going to feed you for a long time. Mm-hmm. All right. I always think of animals in the wild. Let's take a lion, for example. A lion will go hunt. They'll catch that gazelle. They'll rip it open, rip out the liver, munch on that, start chewing on meat. They won't finish eating that whole gazelle. One lion won't eat that whole thing. He'll get a third of the way through, halfway through, and he walks away. He cannot get the whole thing in. He'll walk away. And he'll go find a big old tree, lie down in the shade, and take a serious nap. Of their lives, because they eat enough of it at one sitting that they won't need to do it again 12 hours from now. And we need to have that same sort of mindset. When you're going to sit down and eat your food, eat until you feel like you've had a Thanksgiving dinner. All right, but make sure you're eating the right food to get to that point. Don't be eating all the sweet potato with a marshmallow topping. No. We're not filling up on that. Not at all. Okay? We're filling up on meat and eggs and some dairy products for those that can do it. Okay? That's what you want to do.
So are you a proponent of the carnivore diet?
Yes, ma'am. 100%.
Yeah, my husband lost 35 pounds.
Yeah, I see him busy working out in the back there.
Yeah, not really. He working out, eating meat, yeah. But I did not
saw-
lose that kind of weight.
I saw the weights going there. He was doing his barbell curls. I saw that. So, but yeah, and you know, this is just my train of thought, but I think men are more inclined to do a carnivore diet than the ladies are. It's just guys. For example, I went hunting last year in December. We were what, 5 of us, or 6, 7 of us in this house. We were there for a week, and every meal we had, it's just guys, okay? So 7 guys staying in this house. Nobody brought any vegetables with for the week. Everybody just brought meat. And for a week, we all ate just meat. Nobody bothered to cook up a pot of beans or some rice. None of that stuff. We all just slapped that meat in the grill or in the frying pan or in the oven, whatever it was. Bacon and eggs for breakfast. You come home at night, big old piece of steak and some sausages, and off you go. Nobody had vegetables for a week and nobody complained. All right. But I guarantee if we all took our wives with, there would be some vegetables thrown in there. It's like, okay, I suppose the ladies are trying to take care of us. But you know what? You can take care of yourself on a carnivore diet. You're getting a lot of nutrients out of the meat and eggs.
Yeah, we do a lot of eggs for breakfast every morning, just about.
Good. No, good. And you cannot overeat on these things. You try and eat a dozen scrambled eggs in one sitting.
No,
It's hard.
Cheaper too on that diet.
that diet is actually cheaper.
You can go out and buy the best steaks, you know, and when you look at this package and it says, you know, like a little four steaks in there for like $30, you know, and you say, wow, that's a lot. But then when you don't buy all the canned goods and all the other crap, you know, out of the rest of the store, I mean, like you said, when you eat the proteins and everything like that, you just don't want the other stuff. In fact,
Exactly.
it tastes funny when you get back and you go out to a restaurant or something and they give you something that's not on a diet and you eat it. Boy, that really tastes different than what I remember.
Yep. Yeah. And like you say, with saving the money, yeah, you aren't buying all these vegetables that you sit in the fridge, you throw half of them away because they went bad.
That's right.
Yeah. I'll
That's
tell you
right.
what, we haven't thrown food away in over 18 months. We haven't thrown food out of our fridge that's gone bad in over 18 months because there isn't any stuff in it that can go bad. So yeah, you do save a lot of money and you're getting a lot of good nutrition into your system.
Mhm.
Yeah. And you are going to build muscle. I'm not saying you're going to look like Mr. Universe, all right? But you're going to build muscle without realizing it. I take my lost 4 pounds, for example. Let's say over pounds, inches that are all over her body. She went from, unfortunately, she lost 3 bra sizes. Okay. So, but her weight only went down 14 pounds. So her body shape has changed. She's got thinner. She's needed smaller pants because her waist size is different. Her leg sizes have got smaller. But her weight hasn't decreased dramatically.
That's what I'm experiencing.
Exactly. So your fat is burning off, but your muscles are increasing.
Because we have a Neolife shake for a snack in the afternoon.
Yeah. So the scale's not your friend. All right. That
No.
scale is sent from the devil. Don't use it. You use a tape measure instead. Measure your sizes. You go measure your arms, your waist, your legs. You're going to see those numbers come down, 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 down. But the scale is going to sit on one spot and not budge. And it's very, very frustrating when that scale doesn't budge. All right. People tend to give up. All the scale broken, or I don't know what I'm doing. They just, right. So don't get on that scale. Get on once a month. Yeah. But tape measure is what you want because that's where you see the results. Okay. So yeah. Am I in favor of carnivore diet? I am. There's nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong at all. If you want to do keto diet, that's fine. Some people do a combination, a ketovore diet. All right, heavy on protein, a few veggies, that sort of thing. A fruit per day, nothing drastic, but no grains, and that's the key. Is the no grains.
I think
Yeah.
that is the key, Tony. If people would just do that one thing, you would see a drastic change in difference. And then the seed oils, knock the seed oils out. And vegetable oils and the peanut oils and the soy oils, all the inflammatory oils, because those are your number one jumpstart triggers to inflammation.
Yep. If it says vegetable oil, yeah, don't use it. Yeah. So you've got to be careful. You know, if you're shopping around, if you still eat salads and you want to put a dressing on there, read the label. How much sugar is in a serving of that salad dressing? What oil did they use to make that salad dressing? So you have to read the label. You've got to know what it is that you're looking for. So just a little bit of, I mean, how long does it take to read a label? 20 seconds. Okay. So take 20 seconds of your life to save you another 20 years of your life.
I love that.
Yeah,
Take
you do.
20 seconds to save 20 years.
Yeah. And you know what? Our bodies aren't, they're complicated on the inside. All right. There's a lot that happens biochemically on the inside. Things, the way food gets broken down and split and changed and burned into energy. There's a lot that happens on the inside. But it doesn't take a lot on our part to keep it functioning properly. But it's really basic on our part, really basic. Okay. Don't complicate life with your food. You keep it simple. All right. Just keep it simple. Beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. There you go.
Yep.
One more thing that I wanted to comment on. Going on this carnivore diet, after we've been on it a while, all of a sudden the aches and pains like joints and stuff like that, all of a sudden you just didn't have them anymore.
Correct. That's because you didn't have any glucose in your system, which is the start of a lot of those problems. Yeah. The inflammation that comes along with it. Yeah.
Yep.
So things like fibromyalgia. Fibromyalgia is just pain throughout your body, no one specific spot. Well, cut out all the seed oils, cut out all the grains, increase your butter intake, watch your fibromyalgia go away. So, recommendations for Janie. We covered that.
Yeah, the stroke. Yes.
Yeah, we went over that.
Yes.
Let's go over it again. Let me see what other questions there were here. Now, see, Levon said there, good cholesterol is a healer. Absolutely. Got it. Cholesterol is very good for you. You got to have it, whether you like it or not. You got to get cholesterol in your system. You don't have a choice. I mean, you do have a choice, but Hobson's choice, yeah. You do need the cholesterol. Don't be scared of it. It's good for you. And again, I challenge you to try and overeat on cholesterol-based foods. It's difficult.
What would you say to somebody that their doctor is telling them they need cholesterol medication because their cholesterol is too high?
Okay, I'd say find a new doctor to start with. Okay, number one, change doctors. And I'm dead serious, okay? Let's assume you have a pool in your backyard and you got a pool guy that comes around once a week and you pay the man $120 a month to come take care of your pool. And he tells you to get rid of the algae in your pool, you've got to throw acid in the pool every other day. Well, if you know anything about pool maintenance, acid won't get the algae out of there. Chlorine will. So the first thing, if somebody says, what do I say when my pool man says I've got to put acid in my pool to get rid of the algae, I'm going to say find a new pool man that knows what he's talking about. You're paying this guy to take care of your pool, not so. and he's not doing it. He's putting acid in there, but your pool's still going green. Find a new pool man. Yeah, it's simple. Or stop paying the dude. Okay? Same with your doctor. If your doctor's giving you uninformed, uneducated advice, find a new doctor. Step number 1. Okay. You're paying this doctor for his expertise and his advice, but he's giving you the wrong advice. So find a new doctor. And then secondly, I would go against everything he's telling me. And I would eat everything he tells me not to eat. So if they want to put you on, what is it? Statin drugs, you said, Levon?
Yeah.
No. There's zero reason to be on statin drugs. Zero. None whatsoever. All right? Besides the side effects of dementia, broken bones, all sorts of things. If you can live with that, fine, go on the statin drugs. But if you take the cholesterol, you won't have the dementia. You won't have the broken bones because the cholesterol is there. You take food, nutrients and fat to all parts of your body where it works. Okay? You're not going to be hungry, all that kind of stuff. So don't worry about the cholesterol. You got to have it. Your liver makes 80% of your daily cholesterol requirement. The other 20% or 15% you got to get from your food. So if cholesterol was that bad, why would the dear Lord make our livers make so much of it? Okay.
Right.
Listen to your bodies. You cannot overeat on these things. I mean, you're going to try once or twice, but you're going to realize real soon. Back in the day, I used to make omelets for myself and Yvette, 4-egg omelet each. And I'd put cheese and bacon on this thing. That lasted 2 days. And eventually I said, I think maybe we need a 3-egg omelet. Eventually we went down to a 2-egg omelet. But we realized 4 eggs omelet per person, plus all the cheese and bacon on the inside. It was just so much. But that's all we ate for the day, was just that one omelet. But yeah, like I said, the body's simple to maintain, complex on the inside, but simple to maintain. Same as your car engine. There's a lot of moving parts. You got to make sure it's got oil. See, oil, even oil is good for the engine. It needs oil, water, fuel. Pretty much the same as you and I. We need oil, cholesterol, butter, bacon fat. We need fuel, which is cholesterol, butter, bacon fat, and protein. And we need water. That's all you need. It'll keep you going.
Yeah, because I get calls almost every day about the cholesterol issue. My doctor says, my doctor says, my doctor says I have to stay on this cholesterol. Yeah. So it's just
It's killing us. The cholesterol medication is killing us. We are seeing people at younger and younger ages getting dementia.
Yeah.
And it's, as far as I'm concerned, it's 2 reasons. Excess sugar / insulin and not enough cholesterol in the diet. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm meeting young people in their 20s and early 30s that their doctors are prescribing cholesterol meds.
Yeah.
I mean, the last meetings I just did at these churches, I had a 2 or 3 that came to me that were that young, saying their doctor wanted to put them on cholesterol meds.
So a number of years ago, a friend of mine said his doctor said, I've got to put you on cholesterol medication. And he said to him, why? He says, because you're 50. That was his reason for wanting to put him on cholesterol medication, because you're 50. What? I didn't know that you start a drug because of your age. No, you start taking drugs when there's a problem. But you're 50 years old. You need to be on a statin drug. So, no, find a new doctor. All right. Find somebody that speaks your language, that understands that cholesterol is critical for life. Is not critical for life. And then stick with that doctor. Yeah. Yep. Doctors have their place. Okay. I get it. They have their place, but not when it comes to nutrition. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And they're not up to speed. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't have anything against doctors. I just have a problem with uninformed doctors, uneducated doctors. That's all. And the information's out there for them. They can go research the stuff and they can change what they're doing in their practice. But follow the money. That's what I say. Follow the money. There's no need for statin drugs, folks. All right. A friend of mine was, how old was Rick? Oh, goodness. I don't know how old this man was when this happened. It was maybe 10 years ago. He's of Indian descent. Feather, not turban. All right. And he's got high cholesterol. His numbers have been sky high ever since the day he was born. And the doctors found this out and, oh, you're going to go on medication. Dude, you're 45 years old. You've been living with this high cholesterol for 45 years. Your body knows what to do with it. Your body makes too much, but it also gets rid of it. It's kind of, it's dealt with this condition for so long. Why do you have to suddenly go and change it? I think if they put people like that on statin drugs, they'll probably kill them because suddenly their body has half the cholesterol that it used to have. And I don't think that's a good thing. We just got to listen to our bodies. Eat the right food, obviously. Eat the right foods. If you have high cholesterol, probably because you're eating grains and sugars. So cut those out. That'll change your cholesterol numbers. All right. So, and the only ones you really got to watch is your triglycerides and your HDL. Forget about the LDL. That's yeah. So,
But that's the one they focus on.
because they can make money on, they can't make money on HDL medications because there isn't any. But there's LDL medications, and they can make money on that one. So that's not a conspiracy theory. That's follow the money.
Yes. Terrific. You have answered so many questions tonight. And so is anybody else, before we wrap it up, before I stop recording, anybody else have anything they want to share, say, or ask a question before we wrap it up tonight on a Thursday night? My daughter says, hold on.
Not only grass-fed, but look for finished on the product. So yes, and this again comes to be the stupid USDA, FDA labeling laws. Okay. When you're buying beef, if it says grass-fed beef, that's fine. It might have been grass-fed, but we don't know how it was finished. All right. The last 90 days of its life, did they feed it grains? We don't know that for sure. But for the bulk of its life, it was out there eating just plain old grass. But if the label says 100% grass-fed beef,
Yeah.
then it means the only thing that cow ever ate was grass. And it's also 100% American-raised beef. Only if it says 100% grass-fed does it mean 100% grass only and 100% American beef. If it just says grass-fed, it could be beef from anywhere in the world. Okay? And it could be grain finished. Look for things that says grass-fed and grass finished. It must just say 100% grass-fed. Then you know it covers everything. Not everybody can afford it because it costs a bit more than the regular stuff. But you're still better off eating feedlot cows than you are eating a bunch of oats and grains and breads. Okay.
Right.
So you gotta pick the list of two evils. It's unfortunate, but that's what it is.
Go ahead, Nancy. Nancy.
Tony, I've not bought bread in a really long time, but I've been buying the keto tortilla shells, like to eat like chicken salad or in place of bread. Is that okay?
Difficult to tell because everybody's on a keto bandwagon these days, okay? And if you go read the ingredients, that's the important part. How did they make this thing? What did they use to make it? All right. And that is going to be a bit more challenging. If you go buy just a regular flour tortilla and you read on there, it's got wheat, oil, water, salt, essentially. Okay. You go buy a keto tortilla. What's it made out of? Almond flour, probably, which is high in oxalates, cause kidney stones. It's going to have some sort of an oil in there. It might be a seed oil, depending on the company. It's going to have other stabilizers, ingredients and things in there to try and make this thing look like a regular tortilla type thing. So you have to read the label. And there's a bunch of different companies. So it's difficult for me to say it's a good one, it's a bad one. All right. I don't know. You're just going to have to go read what's on the label. All right.
Thank you, Tony.
You can get the cauliflower one, the egg one that's in the cool section. That's one row up next to the deli. There's also another brand that's also in that
Yeah,
section
so
with the
yes,
deli at
yes.
Publix
Yes.
that says it's gluten-free and
Yes.
keto and gluten-free. And I notice sometimes when I want to do something, I use those because I like
Yeah.
the ingredient list of them.
And Jennifer says, put it in a lettuce wrap. Okay. Yeah.
Now-
but part of the challenge now, let's say a person has IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. Then you don't want to put it in a lettuce wrap because the lettuce is going to cause them discomfort. So you got to
Right.
find a way around that. So that's when you just say, put it in a bowl and eat it out of the bowl.
I
A
noticed
lot of the stuff is just, it's tradition, the way we've been
Yeah.
eating things. And it's like, how can you eat Mexican food without a tortilla? Easy, just put it all in a bowl.
Wait,
Alright.
that don't they have in the pizza places, pizza in a bowl without the crust? They just layer the stuff.
Okay, so here's a brand. Tortillas.
Siesta. All right, almond flour siesta.
All right, there's the ingredients.
Tapioca, almond, xanthan gum, apple cider vinegar, fermented extract, oregano, flaxseed. It's great. It's great.
Okay. Is everything in there perfectly 100% ideal? Yeah, maybe not. But this is the closest thing we're going to get to an alternative.
That's
Okay.
great.
Almonds have lots of oxalates in them. So this is made from almond flour. It's not necessarily going to cause kidney stones, but if a person is prone to getting kidney stones, then they don't want to eat this one. Okay. You don't want to do the almonds then. Same as some of the other vegetables. Okay. But for the most part, and I don't eat these. My two girls like to have a bit of a wrap of some sorts every once in a while. So we've got a pack of these in the freezer for when they have that urge to have Mexican style or whatever the case may be. So yeah, there are alternatives out there. Just shop around but again, read the ingredients. That's the most important thing. Read the ingredients. But that's what I like about. Let's go back to what Janet was saying. Carnivore diet. You don't have to read the ingredients. It says in there beef. Okay, got it. You pick up an egg. What's in here? Egg. All right. It's a one ingredient food. Grand, perfect, easy. Off you go. Okay. So I like to try and keep things simple for me. I don't want to have to read labels on every single product that we buy because come on, it's ridiculous these days. You know, Yvette and I went shopping yesterday. We're at that age where we now get senior discount on the first Wednesday of every month at the grocery store. So we went shopping yesterday, and
Do you
she
have to
says, "You know what?
stand in a long line?
No, we went 8 o'clock at night. All the other seniors were fast asleep then."
Okay.
But she said, "You know what's so nice about this? We walked in, we went to the cosmetics, not the cosmetics side, to pick up a little pack of razor blades for Yvette. We went straight to the back, to the fridge. We got some cream. Went to the fridge next to it, got a bunch of eggs. Moved over 1 or 2 fridges, got some mozzarella sticks. Went down to the meat section and walked out. There was nothing down the aisles that we needed to go get. Everything that's in a box, in a packet, in a bottle. Well, I lie. We went down the ice cream aisle. We went to get some keto ice creams. But that's about the only thing we ever get when we go down the aisles is that and some yogurt for the kids, some plain unsweetened yogurt. but shopping is just so quick these days. You know, you're not going up and down the aisles looking for your favorite box of pasta and pasta sauce and this and that and blah, blah, blah. So,
Yes, your taco seasoning mixes, your box of, everything you want to make a taco with in this one little box. Oh my goodness. We have one question
two
there
questions
about
real
raw
quick
milk.
here. Is raw milk at my farmer's market a good idea? Yeah, raw milk's a very good idea. It's expensive, but go for it. There was one other thing real quick. Goodness. Got distracted with that question. Oh, talking about spices and things. I'm allergic, if you will. I have a reaction to MSG. Some people don't. It floors me. I get a headache so severe, it feels like I need to have my head chopped off if I get MSG in my food. Monosodium glutamate, that's what makes spices taste so delicious. That MSG.
Now, wait a
So
minute. What is that? Was China?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's in a lot of food. Like you go to Chinese restaurants, it's MSGs and all this. But anyways, so my spices essentially is I've come all the way down to salt. So all I put on my food is plain old salt. I don't put barbecue spice, nothing, not even garlic salt or nothing like that. Just plain old salt. Because salt brings out the flavor of the food. So that's all I use. But that's me, you know. Other people, you can put spices on, but I'm just too scared of some of the spices out there, especially when they say, oh, natural flavors. Oh, what's a natural flavor? Where did that come from?
Yeah. Because
But if you're buying salt,
natural.
yeah, Redmond salt, all it's got in there is salt. So I just use salt. Okay.
Yep.
And do you have a question there?
I wanted to make a comment. When I teach, I always have the kids bring in labels of products, and I'm a label reader. And it's amazing how much sugar they sneak into something that doesn't need sugar. And I can't remember what it was, but recently I came across that. Let's say it was a can of beans or something. I mean, just, something simple that you would think, oh, it's just that.
Yeah.
One ingredient. There was sugar in it. And like you said, if there's canola oil, they often use cheap canola oil instead of something healthy. And that's very frustrating. And the other comment I had is, if you're smart, you would do like you do, and you do the perimeter of the store and not walk in the middle of the war zone in the middle.
I
Yeah.
love
There's only
that.
two things.
The war zone.
There's only two things you need down those aisles. It's your keto ice cream and coffee.
No, I had one more. Your Thai can of coconut milk.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, don't forget those. Yeah. Bobby, cheese is good. Some people don't do well with cheese, so they can cut it out. Others, like me, I thrive on cheese, so I eat cheese. I know some people, if they're trying to lose weight, they cut out a lot of food and they kind of plateau and they're eating cheese. We suggest take the cheese out, take any dairy out for now, and see what happens. And most of the time, they start losing weight again. So some people with dairy products are fine, others aren't so good. So you could have figured out for yourself. So just be careful there. Today, Luan was a lady that she said when she eats this vegetable, she gets stomach cramps. And I said, listen, food shouldn't hurt you. All right? If you're getting pain because of your food that you're eating, stop eating that food. So don't, if Brussels sprouts hurt you, quit eating them. There's a reason why it's hurting you. It's because your body doesn't want it. All right? I've never heard anybody complain about eating a piece of steak. So
I haven't either. That's amazing. I just got a great message, I think, from Bobby saying she's so encouraged tonight. Tonight's been a great class. It's phenomenal, the information we deliver. I watch all kinds of doctors from all over the world, and Tony trumps them all. You're an outstanding trumpeter for healthy living. Yay, let's get Tony. That's awesome.
Amen.
Amen. And I'm gonna
We're all
stop.
good.